All right. So since Hitler came to power, Nazism was spreading. So that's why now we're gonna study the Nazi worldview. So, in the Nazi worldview, first of all, we have the Nazi ideology. So, Jews came to be regarded as an anti race, the arch enemies of the Aryans. So, all the other colored people, they were placed in between depending upon their external features. So, Hitler always wanted a German culture. He always wanted Germans, not Jews, not Poles, not anybody else. So all those other colored people, they were placed in between depending upon their external features. So Hitler's racism, it was actually borrowed from thinkers like Charles Darwin and Herbert Spencer, who have given the theories of evolution. So Darwin's theory of evolution. So, according to these thinkers, only those species survived on Earth that could adapt themselves to changing climatic conditions. But Darwin, he never advocated human intervention in what he thought was a purely natural process of selection, that was survival of the fittest. So, however, his ideas, they were used by racist thinkers and politicians to justify the imperial rule over the conquered people. So, the Nazi argument was very simple. It was the strongest race would survive and the weak ones would perish out. Like whoever is the strongest, they would be surviving, and whoever is the weak one, they would finally be, ultimately be perished out. So the Aryan race, it was the finest, and it had to retain its purity. It became stronger and stronger, and it was dominating the world. So as you can see here, that the Nazi ideology, it created a racial hierarchy. So there was a hierarchy with Nordic German, that is Aryans, Nordic German Aryans at the top, and Jews were at the bottom with other races in between. So do remember that according to Nazi ideology, the racial hierarchy was the Germans at the top, and then in between there were other uh, like races and all, and finally at the end there were Jews. So Hitler was all against the Jews. So Hitler's racism, it was borrowed. Do remember, it was borrowed from the thinkers like Charles Darwin and Herbert Spencer, who are related to basically evolution. Okay, now next up we have the Lebensraum. So Hitler's ideology, it was actually, also related to the geopolitical concept of Lebensraum, which was basically a living space. So he believed that new territories had to be acquired for human settlement. So that would enhance the area of the mother country overall, while enabling the settlers on new lands to retain an intimate link with the place of their origin. So it would also enhance the material resources and power of the German nation as a whole. So Hitler intended to extend the German boundaries by moving eastwards. So to concentrate all the Germans geographically in one place. So Poland became the laboratory for this experimentation. So he started from there. So do remember that Poland was the place from where he started. Next up, we have the establishment of the racial state. So, Nazis, they always wanted, that is Hitler, he always wanted only a society of pure and healthy Nordic Aryans. So, do remember this, that he always wanted pure and healthy Nordic Aryans. So, they alone were considered as the desirable ones. So, these one are the desirable ones. Desirables. So, only they were seen as worthy of prospering and multiplying against all others who were classified as undesirable. So, the Nordic Aryans, they were the desirable ones, and apart from that, like other than these, all the others were considered as undesirable, who were not meant for prosperity and multiplying. So, this meant that even those Germans who were seen as impure or abnormal, they had no right to exist. So there was actually the Nazis dreamt of creating an exclusive racial community of pure Germans only. So the Jews, Gypsies, the Poles, the blacks in Germany, they were all persecuted. The Russian and Poles, they were forced to be slaves. So there was this euthanasia program. Euthanasia is basically ending the life of a patient to limit its suffering. Like whenever a person is suffering, so just to limit his suffering, we tend to end the life of a patient. So under that euthanasia program, the Nazi officials, and they had to condemn to death many Germans who were considered mentally or physically unfit. So they just had to kill them anyway. Okay. Next, we have the racial utopia. So, Germany actually occupied and divided Poland. So, as I told you, that Poland was the first laboratory from where they started this racism and all. So, Germany occupied and divided Poland, annexing northwestern Poland to Germany. So, Poles and the Jews, they were forced to leave their homes. So, Poles were actually, even so, they were leaving their homes and properties behind to be occupied by ethnic Germans who were brought in from occupied Europe. So, the pure Germans. Poles were then herded like cattle in the other part, which was called the general government. So Poles were actually, forced to leave from their homes and go to general government. So that was one of the, like you can say, a domain area, like where all the Poles who were persecuted, the Jews and all, they were residing in. So a general government. So, so this general government is the destination of all the, undesirables of the empire. So, who all are undesirable? They will be going to this general government thing. So, general government, undesirables were residing. Now, members of the Polish intelligentsia, they were murdered in large numbers in order to keep the people intellectually and spiritually survive. So the Polish children who looked like Aryans, they were forcibly snatched from their mothers and examined by the race experts if they are desirable or not. If they passed the race test, then they were raised in German families, and if not, then they were deposited. Deposited in orphanages where most of them perished out. So with some of the largest ghettos and gas chambers, that is the concentration camps, the general government also served as the killing centers. Like the general government is actually a killing field for the Jews and the Poles. So large ghettos and gas chambers were purely established for the undesirable people. Okay. Next, so how this actually went on, this gas chamber part, large ghettos and all. So, Hitler actually developed a Nuremberg laws of citizenship, which was in September 1935. So that was implemented by the Hitler government, which was called the Nuremberg laws of citizenship in September 1935. So according to that, there was three stages. So this first stage was exclusion, which was from 1933 to 1939 it was carried out. So under this exclusion, actually there were around 4 or 5 things which happened. So stage one is the exclusion, under which first of all we have that only like under the stage one exclusion what all was happening. So firstly, only persons of German or related blood would henceforth be German citizens who were enjoying the protection of the German Empire. So only those, the pure Germans will be enjoying the protection of the German Empire, pure blooded ones. So German or related blood types. So they were enjoying, okay, the protection of the German Empire. Second of all, the marriages between Jews and Germans, they were forbidden. So marriages were not happening. Marriages were not happening between Jews and the Germans. Okay. Next up, we have that the extramarital relations between Jews and Germans, they became a crime. So that was a crime actually, the extramarital affairs. And finally, the Jews were forbidden to fly the national flag. Okay, so they were not allowed to fly the national flag. So this also you need to remember. So Jews were forbidden. I'm sorry, I'll write it down here. So they were forbidden to fly the national flag. Okay. Apart from that, so there were other legal measures which were those were basically boycott of Jewish businesses, expulsion from government services, then forced selling and confiscation of their properties and buildings. So this was all being done. So that was all part of stage first, exclusion. Next up, we have the stage second, which is ghettoization, which was from 1940 to 1944. So, from September 1941, all the Jews, they had to wear a yellow star of David on their breast. So do remember this yellow star of David on their breast. So this was an identity mark, right? So this identity mark was stamped on their passports, then all the legal documents and houses, like their buildings, whatever they are owning. This yellow star was stamped on that. So they were kept in Jewish houses in Germany and in ghettos like Lodz and Warsaw in the east. So do remember where, like, these are some of the places where ghettos were developed. So there is Warsaw and there is Lodz. Okay. Apart from that, so these Warsaw Lords, so these became sites of extreme misery and poverty. So Jews had to surrender all of their wealth before they entered a ghetto. Like whenever they are entering, they have to surrender all that they own. Soon the ghettos were brimming with hunger, starvation, and disease due to deprivation and poor hygiene. So it was purely miserable state for the Jews. And finally, stage third is the annihilation. Annihilation is basically total destruction. So this was from 1941 onwards. So there was a Holocaust. So Holocaust trains were brought, which were bringing Poles and Jews from concentration camps to gas chambers, the ghettos and all. So Jews from Jewish houses, then concentration camps and ghettos from different parts of Europe, they were brought to death factories by the trains which used to carry the goods. So that's how people were brought to these ghettos and all, the death factories. So in Poland and elsewhere in the east, which is most notably Belzec, so these are some of the places in east where they were brought. So you can just remember like two or three of them. So one of them is Belzec. Then there's Auschwitz, which was one of the killing centers, if you remember. Then there is Sobibor, then Kelmno, etc. Okay, so these were some of the places where people were brought. So these are basically in the east part, and there the people were charred in gas chambers. Mass killings took place within minutes with scientific precision. So there was mass killing all around. So mass killings, okay, very ruthless. So this is how the three stages were. So stage first exclusion, stage second ghettoization, and stage third was annihilation. So this is how the Nuremberg laws of citizenship were implemented. Next up, we have the youth in Nazi Germany. So how did the youth react to it? All of it. What was happening? So first of all, we have the children. So children were taught to be loyal and submissive. They like have to hate Jews anyhow, and they worshipped the Hitler. So they joined the labor service at 18. So schools were cleansed and purified of Jews. So there were no Jews, no Poles, only the pure ethnic, Aryans, Germans. So racial science was introduced to justify the Nazi ideology of race. So 10-year-olds, they had to enter Jung Volk. So Jung Volk is basically called, like, young folk are called junk volk. So this junk volk is basically like it is related to young folk. And 14-year-old boys, they had to join the Nazi Youth League, which was called the Hitler Youth. So all the youth were into Youth League and all. So they had to join the labor force by at the age of 18-year-old. Okay. Next we have, so this is all about the children. So youth in we have, so in the youth and all, we have firstly the children. Next up we have the motherhood. So the Nazi cult of motherhood. So women who produced racially desirable children, they were awarded, while women who bore racially undesirable children, they were punished. So, and Aryan women who didn't follow the prescribed code of conduct, like there was a prescribed code of conduct. So those women who were not following it, they were publicly condemned and they were severely punished. And honor crosses were awarded to encourage those women to produce, so the women who are producing desirable children, they were awarded. And in fact, they were encouraged to produce more and more children. And those who were producing undesirable, they were brutally punished. So they were condemned. Next, we have the Nazi art of propaganda. So, in this, so Nazis, they always used to use those words like euthanasia, disinfection, evacuation, then selection, special treatment, in place of the words like kill or murder whenever they were communicating. So, this is how they were using, like, these are the code words you can say. So, rather than using kill or murder, they were using euthanasia, disinfection, evacuation. So, media was carefully used to win support for the regime and popularize, Nazi worldview. So the Nazi ideas, they were spread through visual images, then films, radio, posters, catchy slogans and leaflets, pamphlets. So in posters, the groups, they identified as the enemies of the Germans. So, like in whenever there was a poster, and in those the groups were identified as enemies of the Germans. So they were stereotyped, they were mocked, they were abused, and they were described as evil. So those are the enemies. Okay. So if this is a poster and there's a group, so they were stereotyped as enemies. Then the socialists and liberals, they were represented as weak and degenerate. Then they were attacked as malicious foreign agents, like as if they are malicious foreign agents, so they were attacked like that. Then propaganda films were made to create hatred for Jews, so that was done intentionally. So the most infamous film was The Eternal Jew. So do remember, so that was the most infamous film, The Eternal Jew. Then the Orthodox Jews, they were stereotyped and marked again. Then they were shown with flowing beards, wearing kaftans. So that's how they were portrayed. Whereas in reality, it was difficult. Like actually, when you see in reality, it was difficult to distinguish the German Jews by their outward appearance because they were a highly assimilated community. But still, because they were, the Jews who were like not of their community, they were wearing kaftans. So that's how they were distinguished. But in reality, there was just by outward appearance, they cannot be differentiated well enough. So they were referred to as vermin, rats, and pests. Then their movements were compared to those of rodents. Then Nazism worked on the minds of the people. So Nazism was all over the minds of the people. It tapped their emotions and turned their hatred and anger at those who were marked as undesirable. So the Nazis made equal efforts to appeal to all the different sections of the population. They sought to win their support by suggesting that Nazis alone could solve all of their problems. So they were basically, trying to put that Nazis can solve all their problems. So support Nazis. Then how did common people react to Nazism? So we actually have three different kinds of people. Okay. So first of all, there is one group of people who felt the hatred and anger. So there was anger and surge in them. So when they saw someone who looked like a Jew, so they were basically supportive of Hitler's Nazis ideology. So they marked the houses of Jews and reported suspicious neighbors. Then they genuinely believed that Nazism would bring prosperity and improve their general well-being. So this is one group of people who were supportive of Nazis ideology. So sorry, supportive of Nazis, like Nazism. Then there is another group of people, the second group, which is like, they are the ones who actually revolted. They are the ones who protested. So there were many organized active resistance to Nazism who were braving police repression and death. So these are the ones who were like against it. They were protesting. So protesters. Then finally, we have, which is the large majority of Germans, like the major chunk was in this last group, which were, passive onlookers and apathetic witnesses. So they were too scared to act, to defer, to protest. So they just preferred to look away. So they were not reacting. So they are the apathetic ones. Okay. Then so out of fear, even so there was, as I told you, that there were ones who preferred to look away. So one of them was resistance fighters like Pastor Niemöller, who observed an absence of protest amongst ordinary Germans in the face of brutal and organized crimes. So in his words, he said that first they came for the communist. Well, I was not a communist, so I said nothing. Then they came for social democrats. Well, I was not a social democrat, so I did nothing. Then they came for the trade unionist, but I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, but I was not a Jew. So I did little. Then when they came for me, there was no one left who could stand up for me. So this is how, he has put up his feelings. Okay. Now, next is knowledge about the Holocaust. I'm sorry. Yeah. This is the last part, like all about the youth, what was happening. So there was information about Nazi practices which had trickled out of Germany during the last years of the regime. But it was only after the war ended and Germany was defeated in the First World War that the world came to realize that the horrors, like what exactly the horrors were, what exactly happened in Germany. So while the Germans were preoccupied with their own plight as a defeated nation emerging out of the rubble, the Jews, they wanted the world to remember the atrocities and the sufferings they had endured during the Nazi killing operations, which is also called the Holocaust. So do remember the Holocaust. Okay, so what all the Nazis went through is has been described as a Holocaust. So this indomitable spirit to bear witness and to preserve the documents, it can be seen in many ghetto and camp inhabitants who wrote diaries, they kept notebooks, and they created archives. On the other hand, when the war seemed lost, the Nazi leadership it distributed petrol to its functionaries. So people used to keep the Jews, they used to keep diaries, they used to write and all, but on the other hand, when the war was seeming to be like kind of lost, the Nazi leadership distributed petrol to destroy all these functionaries, incriminating evidence which was available in offices. So that's like the intensity of like how much against they were the Jews. So one of the like famous known Annie Frank. So I'm sorry, Anne Frank. So Anne Frank's, she wrote a diary which was called The Diary of a Young Girl at the age of 13. So she became famous throughout the world. This actually, this diary, it provides a vivid and poignant glimpse into the world of a young Jewish girl living in Nazi occupied Holland. So she used to live in Holland, which was Nazi occupied. So she wrote this diary while she was hiding in a Nazi-contained area in an Amsterdam warehouse. So she was just 13 when her and her family went into hiding. So a beautiful novel, like you must go through it. I think you must be reading that in I think class 10. But if you love reading novels, then you should just go through it. So the history and the memory of the Holocaust lives on, in fiction, memoirs, documentaries, poetry, memorials, and museums in many parts of the world still today. It's still there. Okay, so now we have a few of the questions.